Look at those mountains. Look at that snow. Is that not just an awesome sight or what?
Hello everyone, I hope you are all doing well and had a good weekend. So, in my last video, I talked about how I personally do not want to see an official Phantasy Star 5. And today, we're going to talk about the Final Fantasy VII Remake, which was one of the biggest news, if not the biggest news, of E3 2015, which is a little bit depressing at the moment. It seems to be what the most people are talking about. Yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, people have asked about this remake for years. I remember way back when PlayStation 2 was first coming out and we used to get the old PSN magazines and that. People would write in and they would ask, are we getting Final Fantasy VII for the PlayStation 2? Are we getting Final Fantasy VII for the PlayStation 2? When are we getting Final Fantasy VII for the PlayStation 2? And it never happened. And then, I forget which year it was, we had the tech demo, the PlayStation 3 tech demo, which showed Final Fantasy VII, and everyone was up in arms, and oh yay, it's a remake, it's happening, and it never did. Now, I will admit, that was a bit of a cruel trick, because they never said it was Final Fantasy VII was going to be on PlayStation 3, but it was definitely a bit of a lead on. But now, it's happening, it's been officially announced. Final Fantasy VII, the remake, is coming. It's coming to PlayStation 4, and it's only a matter of time before it goes to other consoles, PC, Xbox One, whatever. It's only a matter of time before that happens. So, do I think that we need this Final Fantasy VII remake? No. Absolutely not. I'm really not looking forward to it that much. Now, Final Fantasy VII was my first Final Fantasy. It was my step into the Final Fantasy world. And yeah, I love the game. I am a giant fan of it. Anyone who knows me knows I am a big fan of Final Fantasy VII. I'm not going to sit here and tell you otherwise. But I went back, I played the other Final Fantasies, and I don't agree that Final Fantasy is the best Final Fantasy. In my opinion, I prefer Part 6, I prefer Part 4, I even prefer Part 1 to a certain extent over Final Fantasy 7. I think the best Final Fantasy from the PlayStation now was actually Final Fantasy 9. A lot of people are going to not like that and disagree with me, and that's fine, but I'm still going to think that way. And I had a feeling that Final Fantasy 7 was going to come out, 20 years later, and the reason why was back when they were doing Advent Children, it's not officially been released in 2017, and I know that before anyone says anything. Back when they were releasing Advent Children in that crappy PlayStation 2 game with Vincent, I forget the name, I read somewhere on the internet, on an interview, that they said that they had plans for Final Fantasy VII, up to 20 years. And then on PSP, and I think there was another console as well, we got the Final Fantasy VII 1 and 2 20-year anniversary editions. As soon as, that got released, I put 2 and 2 together. I thought, I bet they're going to do something for Final Fantasy VII in 20 years. Because it was 1997 that it came out, I believed, for the rest of the world. It might have been 1996 for Japan. I'm not too sure on the day. So it was 1997 before it came over here in New Zealand anyway. And it was a big thing. And I thought, they're going to do 20-year anniversary edition. That's 2015 now. They've announced Final Fantasy VII. 2017 is only 2 years away, but that is a lot of time to get the game done. And they're going to do a 20-year anniversary edition. You heard it here first. I think they're going to do this. Now, am I looking forward to this? As I've said, no, I'm not. I do not think it is needed. Final Fantasy VII, it was the big game back then. Nowadays, there's a lot more games. Well, there's not a lot more games, but there are more games I'm looking forward to. And from what I hear, the team that originally worked on Final Fantasy VII for the PlayStation, they're gone. This is going to be in the hands of a new development team. So there's a bit of concern here of what changes and alterations, because they're going to add something new. They're going to play around. There's probably going to be, Advent Children costumes for the characters that you can change into, which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but it's not really needed, I guess. People like costumes these days for some reason. I don't see the big deal in it. You know, dressing up your characters the way you want to, or whatever. That's your thing, that's your thing. I don't get it. But I'm wondering what other changes they're going to do. I mean, one of the biggest changes that I really hope they do not do is that you save Ares, Aerith, whoever you know her as. I know there's two different names. Because her death is central to the story. And now it's central to the entire Final Fantasy VII universe that movies and spin-off games have built around. I remember back in the PlayStation days, everyone was saying, oh, there's a way to save it, there's a way to save it. She dies. Okay? She has to die. I do not want an option in this new Final Fantasy VII Remake to save her. It's pointless. It's stupid. And what good is she? She's doesn't really add anything. Her character's this naive whatever flower girl. I was never really interested in her. You know? And people said, well, she'd be good for the last boss. How? Why? Why do you want to go and face Sephiroth with Ares Aerith? I mean, her level 4 limit break makes you immortal, so nothing can damage you. You want to fight the last boss like that. By the time you get to the end of the game, you've got so much materia and power-ups, you're basically immortal. Maybe you want to get the death blow with Ares Aerith. I'm just going to say that from now on because there are two different names for her thanks to the translation issues. Staying on topic, that's what you want to do. You want to be Sephiroth with Ares. You want to get a little staff and have a go. Was that fulfilling? She dies. She needs to die. They cannot change that. We don't know what else is going to be changed. It might become as linear as Final Fantasy 13. And Final Fantasy 13 sucks. If you liked it, fair enough, but it still sucks. You know, there's too much. This game has got such high expectations. And will I pick up a copy myself? I'm not going to say, yeah, I probably am. I'm going to pick up a copy myself, but I am definitely going to wait to see how this comes out. I am definitely not really hyped or looking forward to it because, yeah, it's had its moment, but it's passed. This is just a re-release, and it shouldn't be the biggest news of E3 2015 at the very least. One of the bigger news, you know, there was quite a bit talked about at E3 2015, and there was no reason that the Final Fantasy VII Remake is coming out, and well, 18 years later. I still say it's going to be 2017. It's going to be some kind of 20-year anniversary edition. I'd rather they get all the Final Fantasy VII games, because whatever, and just bundle them up and re-release them. I mean, Final Fantasy VII, the original game, yeah, the graphics, the cubey little look, yeah, it's a bit off-putting, but they have updated it. They can change it. I don't think they need to completely remaster the game. Just upgrade it just slightly, because the characters' looks do have a certain charm about the game, which will be lost. You can disagree with that point as well if you like, but I think, you know, if they make these realistic looking characters, they look like they do in the Advent Children movie, and that's what you're playing as, it's going to lose a little bit of magic from the original look of the game, and that's just me saying that. You know, people would disagree with me, and that's fine, but these are my videos. I'm going to share my thoughts. And that's pretty much all I have to say about it. There's no need for this Final Fantasy VII Remake. There is no need. Yes, I will probably pick it up. I'm not going to say that I won't. I think it's going to be a 20-year anniversary edition. And that's that. I really don't know what changes are going to be made to this game. What's going to be added, what's going to be taken out, what's going to be altered. If they fix the translation errors up, you know, hey, that's a fucking step in the right direction. The music, I like the music from the game, but are they going to change that up? They did in the Final Fantasy X remastered editions, from what I hear. You know, I think there's going to be too much change, and this game is just going to lose its appeal. And that's all I can really say about it. So I'm going to end this video here. We do not need the Final Fantasy VII Remake, in my opinion. It's not really needed. You can get it on Steam. You can get the game on PSN. It's not that hard to find now. And it's a good game if you like it, and if you don't like it, you're one of these people who hate Final Fantasy VII and everything it stands for. I can actually understand where you're coming from, because it has, escalated into something so high and spectacular that it's kind of stupid. But that's all I got to say. Thank you for getting through this video. We'll take care. I'll take care. You take care. We'll all take care. God, that sounded really corny, didn't it? Alright, I'm going to go now. This is Diente, signing off.